Hello, welcome to my first vlog. So one thing I've been trying to do is I've been trying to expand my horizons a little bit, learn about some other groups that have been oppressed traditionally, and just learn more, become more multiculturally competent, I guess. Um, so the first article I read was about racial and womanist identity and the differences between black and white women. Um, so my partner and her friend, very big feminists, and we've had quite a few discussions about what it means to be black here in America, what it means to be white here in America. And one of the things that got brought up was who was allowed to vote first in this country, and obviously it was black men. And I thought that that was very interesting that the male sex took precedence over took precedence, yeah, over um, over skin color. Um, and I just thought that that was super interesting. And so then when that article talked about the positive relationship between black women, um, their identity development and their womanist development, how those were correlated. I guess that wasn't totally surprising. It's like, first, you're black. You're being oppressed first because you are black, and you're being oppressed second because you're a woman. So I thought that was super interesting. So then, which begs the conversation and the question about how white women, straight white women, feel about not being oppressed because they are white, and how they are oppressed because they're females. Um, so that was kind of an interesting take. Um, so the other one that I read, that I found very, very intriguing, was the racial and ethical differences of coming out, and um, the discrepancies between the races. And it was one of those things where I was not super surprised to see that African Americans or blacks did not tell people as readily. They didn't tell as many people. And then they didn't belong in these LGBT communities as much as, and didn't belong as in like membership. They just didn't join. And it mentioned that they didn't join due to racism within those LGBT communities. But I also don't wonder if it's because of the backlash that they would have faced with their own communities, within their own communities. I don't know the familiarity with, I think, what's his name, Little Nas or something like that, rapper, Old Town Road, the artist who sings Old Town Road. He came out, I think, shortly after that song came out. And there's a bunch of hate on social media. And I don't remember any hate coming from Sam Smith, when he came out. And I think that just culturally, for whatever reason, whites are more accepting. And I've wondered this before too. When I was working at my old high school, there were some black individuals that I was working with, and I cannot remember how the conversation got brought up. Probably around these similar types of conversations as to why black cultures end up oppressing and treating differently those members who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, whatever the case is, when they know firsthand what it's like to be oppressed. And I asked one of my students, I said, what's this about? Can you tell me a little bit about this? And she's like, oh, that gay shit, that's for the white people. That's for the white people. And I was like, what the, like, that doesn't, and this was a student who 35 on the ACT, very articulate, going to HBCUs, and I was just like, what? Like culturally, what? Why? What? And she told me, she said, we have been oppressed enough. We do not need more things on top of this. And I was like, that is an interesting way to observe sexual orientation. I just thought that that was super interesting. Yeah, I'm just still kind of trying to wrap my head around it, and I would love to have more conversations about it from all communities, and just see where it comes from, see what it comes from. Um, and then what was the other one? Shoot, the other one was. I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Here, give me just 1 second here. Let me check my notes. For which other? Oh, yes. The analysis of the LGBT identity development. Um, so I think I'm a big fan of the lifespan model, because I think of oppressed groups who, when we are still trying to find our way out of oppression, it's a dynamic thing. It's not like step one, step two, step three, step four, right? It's like, I'm 25 years old now, and, I would say in my racial identity development, it has just really started to take off. I'm learning more. I'm more comfortable with who I am, what I represent, and where I fit here in society. And I think that lifespan development, that process, I think that's much more appropriate than step one, step two, step three. Um, Thought that was very interesting. And then one more side note that really, excuse my language, but this pisses me off, that the gender identity disorder is classified as a disorder, because the disorder component implies that something is wrong. And to imply that something is wrong with you, then you internalize it, or whoever it is internalizes it, the individual does, and that just does not sit well with me. So I would really like to see a systematic change to that, because I think it causes damage to call something a disorder. I'm not a fan of that. And then to wrap up, to be mindful of time here, because I've got about 30 seconds, 40 seconds here. Our group last week, one of the things was, at what age or at what point did you develop, your racial identity? And what does that mean going forward? In third grade, a kid called me a nigger on the playground. And from then on, I knew that I looked different, that there were people out there who felt differently about me just because of my skin color. And it's been an ever-going process about learning, who am I? Am I white? Am I black? Am I just white with black skin? Where do I fit in this puzzle? And it's just an ever-going process.